The room was full of laughter and music. And across the room, I saw Daniel. For a moment, time seemed to pause. Our eyes met. He smiled politely. I smiled back. No tensión. No sadness. Just a quiet understanding of something that had once existed. And something that had ended exactly the way it needed to. That night, as I held Michael's hand on the dance floor, I realized something important. Love isn't fragile because of what other people do to it. It's fragile because of the empty spaces we leave inside it. If you've ever loved someone and felt unseen, if you've ever felt lonely while standing right beside the person you married, then you understand how dangerous silence can become. But not every connection is meant to last. Some exist only to teach us something. Some arrive not as love stories. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. Tell us, have you ever experienced a moment where silence almost changed everything? Your stories and thoughts help us continue sharing real, emotional narratives like this one. Because sometimes the deepest scars in life are not from what we did, but from what we almost did. But as lessons, not just to myself, but to my marriage. The next morning, I stared at my phone for a long time. Then finally, I sent Daniel a message. We can't do this anymore. The reply came a few minutes later. I know. Then another message appeared. But I'll always be here if you need someone to talk to. For some reason, that message hurt more than anything else. Because a small part of me had hoped he would say something different. Something that would make it easier to let go. But he didn't. And maybe that was the right thing. The weeks that followed were difficult. Michael and I began having the conversations we had avoided for years. I confessed. Not every detail, but enough. Enough for him to understand my regret. Enough for him to see the truth in my eyes. He didn't yell. He didn't slam doors. Instead, he said something much quieter. Something that stayed with me long after. I wish you told me before you told him. Those words carried more pain than anger ever could. We started therapy. We rebuilt trust piece by piece. Slowly. Carefully. Some days were hopeful. Some days were painful. But we kept trying. Because we both realized something important. Silence inside a marriage can be more dangerous than conflict. Arguments at least mean two people are still trying to be heard. But silence allows distance to grow without anyone noticing. A year passed. Life slowly found its balance again. Then one evening, Michael and I attended a friend's wedding. Something had already crossed a line. After that night, things were different. We still told ourselves we were just friends. But the conversations continued. Text messages. Late night calls. Moments that felt innocent, but carried something deeper beneath the surface. It wasn't love. Not the kind of love people plan. It was something more complicated. A connection formed in the quiet spaces where loneliness lives. And with that connection came guilt. Every night, I'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, replaying our conversations, remembering the way he listened, the way he understood things I never said out loud. Meanwhile, Michael was still working harder than ever, still traveling, still doing everything he believed was right for our future. But I was changing, quietly, and I hated myself for it. Because the truth was something I didn't want to admit. I hadn't betrayed my husband physically, but emotionally. My heart had already started drifting somewhere it didn't belong. Eventually, the distance between Michael and me became noticeable. He could sense something was wrong. One evening, he came home earlier than expected. I was in the living room talking on the phone with Daniel. When Michael walked in, I froze. Our eyes met. His expression shifted instantly. Confusion. Then suspicion. He looked at me quietly. "Who is that?" he asked. I hesitated for only a second. But sometimes a second is enough to reveal everything. "Just Daniel." I replied too quickly. The room fell silent. Michael nodded slowly, but I could feel the tension filling the air. That night, we barely spoke. And for the first time since all of this began, I truly saw what I had done. But as he stood there explaining why he came by, thunder rumbled somewhere in the distance. Moments later, rain began falling. At first it was light. Then suddenly it turned into a downpour. Daniel looked outside and laughed softly. Looks like I'm stuck here for a bit. I smiled and stepped aside so he could come in. Neither of us knew that the next few hours would change everything. That we sat in the living room while rain hammered against the windows. At first, the conversation was normal. We talked about work, about Michael's latest trip, about small everyday things. But as the hours passed, the conversation shifted. It became deeper, more personal, more honest. Maybe it was the rain. Maybe it was the loneliness I had been carrying for months. Or maybe it was simply the comfort of speaking to someone who was willing to listen. But eventually, I began saying things I had never said out loud before. I told him about my fears, about how invisible I sometimes felt, about how lonely a marriage can become when two people stop sharing their thoughts with each other. My voice trembled as I spoke. I didn't plan to confess those feelings. They just came out, one after another. And Daniel never interrupted. He never judged. He just listened. Really listened. Then after a long moment of silence, he said something that changed everything. 5 simple words. You deserve to be seen. That was it. 5 words. But those 5 words broke something open inside me. Because they were exactly the words I had been waiting to hear, without even realizing it. And suddenly, something shifted between us. Not physically. Nothing happened that anyone could see. But emotionally. I understood why he worked so hard. I was proud of him. But pride doesn't always fill the empty spaces in a quiet house. There were nights when I'd sit alone in the living room while the clock ticked loudly on the wall. The television played in the background, but I wasn't really watching. I was just filling silence. Michael would come home exhausted. We'd exchange a few tired words. Then we'd go to bed. No arguments. No fights. Just a quiet routine that slowly replaced the warmth we once shared. And somewhere in that quiet routine, Daniel became someone I talked to more often. It started with simple conversations, group messages, friendly jokes, casual check-ins. But Daniel noticed things Michael no longer had time to see. He'd ask small questions. Did you eat today? You sound tired, are you okay? At first, I thought nothing of it. They were simple questions. But simple questions can mean a lot when no one else is asking them. Those words filled the silence that had slowly grown inside my marriage. One evening, Michael left town for another business trip. It was nothing unusual. By then, his travel schedule had become a normal part of our lives. That night, I was at home alone when there was a knock on the door. It was Daniel. He held a folder in his hand. Michael had forgotten some important files at the office earlier that day. Daniel happened to have them, and decided to drop them off. It was supposed to be a quick visit. Just a polite exchange at the door. But eventually, before you realize it, you're standing outside completely soaked. That's how it happened with Daniel. His name was Daniel. He wasn't a stranger. He wasn't someone I met by accident. Daniel was my husband's closest friend. And over time, he had become one of my closest friends too. Our lives were intertwined in ways that made everything feel natural. My husband Michael and Daniel had known each other for years. They worked together. They trusted each other. They shared business ideas, long conversations, and countless memories. Because of that, Daniel was often around. Family dinners, birthday celebrations, weekend barbecues, holiday gatherings. He was always there. And eventually, he became part of my life as well. At first, it was simple. Normal conversation. Small jokes. Casual moments where we'd talk while Michael stepped away to answer a call or check on something. Daniel had this calm energy about him. He wasn't loud or overly charismatic. But he had something else. Something far more powerful. He listened. Really listened. The kind of listening that makes you feel like the world has paused just long enough for your voice to matter. That at some point in our marriage, things between Michael and me began to change. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. Just slowly. Quietly. The way distance sometimes grows between two people who still love each other, but have become distracted by life. Michael's career was taking off. His job demanded more time. More travel. More late nights. Business dinners. Flights to other cities. Phone calls that stretched late into the evening. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. Your support helps us continue sharing powerful, emotional, and thought-provoking stories that remind us how complicated and fragile human relationships can be. Today's story is not about betrayal in the way most people imagine it. There are no dramatic scenes, no shocking revelations, no obvious moments where everything falls apart. Instead, this story is about something quieter, something that happens slowly, almost invisibly, because sometimes the most dangerous mistakes in life are not the things we do. They're the things we say, and the feelings we allow to grow after saying them. And sometimes, by the time we realize what we've done, the damage has already begun. Sometimes it's not the actions that break us. It's the words. The words we say in moments of weakness. The confessions we whisper when we feel unseen. The truths we reveal to the wrong person at the wrong time. I never meant for things to go as far as they did. Not with him. Not with anyone. At the beginning it felt harmless. Completely innocent. Just a friendship. The kind of friendship that slowly finds its way into your life without you noticing. Like soft rain falling outside your window. At first it seems gentle, insignificant even.